Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews, back at it again, this time with a review for Sioux Surf versus Cortez. Main event of Civil War II out in Raleigh, North Carolina. 10-year grudge match. I mean, everything about this battle speaks for itself. They streamed it again this past weekend. I know it was a little strange with the rollout they gave it, but, we finally got to see full footage of the battle. And I just thought that it was a big enough battle and there was enough interesting things that happened to break down some of the facets that I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and give my winner here in a more detailed, broken down type of way. And without further ado, let's get right into the battle. So to start out here with Coors first, comes out with a give a fuck about Snake Eyes as long as I get a title shot. He is, as well as a crowd interaction thing, talk about tell a hater suck my dick. So he starts out a little, just regular, and then I think something that not helped, but on the rewatch, Coors' pen really does show. Like I said, I listened to the battle first audio in Spaces, and now I've watched it twice, and it wasn't even until the third watch, especially for Coors first, that I noticed he's punching pretty consistently in here. Can spray over the title like I'm Hollywood Hogan, the NWO wrestling bar, that was dope. Coming back with a 45, chasing the title like Tom Brady. I'm a balance of negatives like an overdraft. So definitely, jabbing at a pretty consistent rate here. And then he gets you'll sell more when you're dead. That's how you earn an ash. And I thought that was haymaker material. I thought that was a haymaker. Obviously, Core, which we kind of knew was going to have to fight for reaction a little bit more in this room. But that was one of the first bars where I even noticed, like, okay, that's heavy. LeBron James, for a decade, I watched the title run. A lot of good title flips to start out here. I scope neighborhood. I might buy a house there. That was fire, too. He had some Spanish bars. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't attest to if it's a haymaker or not. But it definitely helped him build momentum, gets the crowd on his side. And a lot of battlers use their strengths like that. Every time Core spits a bar in Spanish on stage, crowd's going to cheer. That just is what it is with that. If you spit a bar in another language, and really in any setting, usually the crowd will cheer. So can't be mad at him. It's definitely a good move for getting, more reaction, getting the crowd on your side. For possibly people, sadly, there is a lot of fans that, especially casual or newer fans, where crowd reaction can sway you, even implicitly, without noticing. So, while I don't give the bar itself that many, crazy points, I definitely understand why, and it was a good structural move. Consensus only cares about black on this card. Decent. Talking about levels, bitch, every casket is 6 feet. Fire. The kidnap in neighborhood, it's an Amber Alert. Crack a hard shell, like Taco Tuesday. So Core definitely has some good stuff in his first. And then to go into Search first, he has a rebuttal about the Columbia necktie, went over okay. And then he gets into his patent, he calls it his AMG mode, his flow patterns, his rhyme patterns, and it's like this rapid pace rapping. Wings with the Brightland, I'm exciting, going down it. And then he goes into the first bar that lands for me is we pushed to the side, that typewriting, that was definitely dope. Ends the whole pattern with Reeking Everywhere, Dykeman. So I thought that was hard. I thought the way that he built momentum was great. Even though the in-between shit on paper doesn't always check out like that, when you build it up and have this great punch at the end, I definitely have to give credit. Building momentum, your delivery, your performance, that's all aspects of battle rap. So even if I feel like there's a little bit of like he said took Twerk Soul, got animated, and the crowd started freaking out. Obviously, the crowd was a little Sioux Surf crazy, right? But that's how Surf operates in a crowd, because he is an overwhelming performer. To assess his battles, sometimes you are going to have to look through crowd reaction a little bit. And that's on us as fans to do that, because at the end of the day, if he's going to be a great performer, have this delivery, and have crowd reaction like that, I'm not going to count it against him because he has it. But like I said, some of the in-between stuff, not every single part of the build-up is crazy. It's why I didn't say every part. But the typewriting, the Reeking Everywhere Dykeman, I definitely like that. Big and 9 in the stroller, like Spanish Babies. That was after the twerk animated shit. That was also a haymaker. Stick like you Spanish, Choppy. That was cool. Get caught in the mouth, hibachi. Thought that was creative. I don't know if anybody's had a caught in the mouth hibachi flip yet, but I thought it was definitely dope. And then bald head, blue in his eyes. I make him Nazi. While I think Nazi bars are very overdone, this was one of the more creative Nazi bars that I've ever heard. The bald head, blue in his eye, make him Nazi. I thought it was a little bit of a different flip. For me, I personally liked it. And then towards the end of the round, it does tail off a little bit. Bulldog, thought Flea was on it. Flea was on it when we got in the house. Delonte West, he's a motherfucking bomb, which is actually pretty decent. And then he had a bar in here, code word Bush, he won't beat around. That was horrible. Yeah, that was definitely bad. But he'd already had a few bombs. Then right here towards the end of the round, he has the expose the pussy in bodega, always lying on the bread. That with the top tier money flip, that was fire. For those of you who know, Cat's always laying on the bread in the bodega. So definitely a closer round than I thought. I had Surf clear the first few times I watched it, and on the watch back, I still have Surf 1-0 edge, but I definitely understand now more than people saying it's a close round. Core was penning some incredible shit, but the difference does come into the energy and delivery. Crowd reaction aside, I still have to give points for a guy that's building momentum fluidly, even if the bar isn't always checking out crazy on paper. Besides, like the one I named, it's not like it's just terrible shit in the setups, and then there's a punch at the end. Especially with the Reeking Everywhere Dykeman, it was built up beautifully, and it ended with a very good bar. So I had Surf 1-0 edge going into the second. And then on to the second round, Core starts out Forbes. It was like Norbs with a suing URL opener. It's settled with Court. It was okay. Court snatching grandson like child services. That was fire. They'll go from watching you in a lot to watching you in a lot of blood. I think that is a crazy bar for those of you that know about they watch me in a lot from the original viral Surf versus Cortez argument, and I like the idea to flip that. I think he could have performed it better and delivered it better, which, it doesn't mean that I take away. It's still a great bar that I'm putting down, but the bar could have been more if he did put more energy and emphasis into it. But he heats up more as the round goes on. Pete Davidson, I sleep with the K. That was dope. You talking about showing math to AP. He's like, you showed math this to AP. That's a nervous tick. I like that. I definitely think some of this more character breaking down is really good, and I expected a little more of this from this battle with Core, but I like that flip. Now I went from not cracking the vault to breaking the bank. I like that too. And then he had his best bar of the battle. He tried a lockpick, did a door open. The next time you hear that his casket closing, probably Cortez's most memorable bar of the battle. Clearly Cortez's best round of the battle too. And then he had a hermaphrodite, half an agenda. That was cool, but he had already laid down the foundation with some explosive haymakers in the middle. It was definitely a highlight round. I won't have to spend too much time talking about Surf second though, as Surf, it almost feels like kind of through the second in a way. We got the scheme Surf that we've seen in a couple other battles where he is a strange, he is a AP rebuttal bar to start out, which was, And then from there, he had a condiment scheme. I'm not even going to break some of these down all the way. It was like a Mayo. And yeah, so he had a condiment scheme. I'm not going for that. He had a workout scheme about shoulder press. I'm not going for that. A plan was tainted. It was about cooking Spanish food. So that was actually a cool little bar. And then he had a tortilla. And then towards the end of his round, he had a sneaker scheme. So, scheme Surf this round. It was definitely a strange round. And it was clear. I thought Cortez clearly got this second. Even if Surf had a good round, it might have been a tough to get anyways. But it was definitely the light of his rounds pitted up against the strongest of Core's 3 rounds. So I had Surf edging the first. I had Cortez clearly taking the second, which led the third round to being the deciding round of the battle. And in this third round, this is where... I came in thinking that angling, I think Core's a very underrated and talented angler. I think that's one of his strengths that he doesn't get to display all that often. And I really expected that this round, and he took a different approach that I just can't say I was the biggest fan of. He had a vaulted rounds, talking about Sue Surfs against John. He did there's some rounds I still can't get out. He flipped that about having vaulted rounds. He's like, Surf, there's still some rounds I can't get out. I thought that was funny. I thought that was definitely a good way to open his round too. But he had a A-Rod, something, it was like a Aaron, not Aaron Rodgers, the baseball player, A-Rod, the Wave. I didn't really like that bar very much. He also had a fashion scheme that came after that. Talked about some Ferragamo, Soul, skeletons in the closet and some moccasins, I believe it was. So I wasn't the biggest fan of that either. And then he went into this underdog thing, show him I'm the biggest underdog. I'm 50 after he took 9 shots. This is the aftermath. And it was building up, and I'm like, oh, this is going to lead to something big. I thought this was some good momentum he was building up, just to lead up into I'm LeBron James when he's down 3-1. Fell pretty flat. I thought it was a build-up to kind of nothingness, maybe a little bit of a Mr. Wavy-esque kind of bar there. So I was a little just disappointed. Like I said, I was expecting angling, third round. There's some shit we got to speak about. And I just wasn't a fan of it. It almost seemed like just by far the weakest round, of course, from a writing perspective, from everything, especially when he was punching around and just barring so good in the first 2 rounds. It's just kind of a bizarre third all the way around for me. He had a chest call out, which was pretty dope. I don't remember it word for word, but it was definitely solid. And he wanted some different flow patterns at the end here. Got surf duck in the vault like Mr. Scrooge. And he was rapping at a lot of different paces, but there just wasn't that much content that I could really pull from it of value. And not that Surf's third is too much better. He had the top tier money, J-Pay flip. I'm already, sending money to my dudes on the top tier. Dow Jones flip. Sirius calling out, you should Dow Jones. And it was a NASDAQ stock. Once again, these very overdone schemes I'm not the biggest fan of, so I didn't give that too many points. Then he had the John B, don't listen to what the people say. That was fire. If you don't want it for John B, don't listen to what the people say. He had the Vixen, wrong material. The crowd went crazy. He's a showman. I didn't really give it any points. It was just kind of a thing. But if you're in the building, I can understand maybe why you might react to it. 40 Glock licking his mouth like French kisses, solid. Rex had you sleeping on a sectional. That was funny. And then he had this, what's Ultimate Madness? Going over all these things about Cortez. Pretty good career breakdown. He tackled some of the issues with Cortez, maybe trying to infiltrate the black community. He had an angle about that, some of the things said in the spaces. And then that with the career breakdown, talk about who he's lost to, who he's won to. That was more what I was expecting Core to do with Surf, going down his battles where Surf's fucked up and really doing like an in-depth analysis of, Surf's career. I think he could have done great with that. I think he could have took the round if he took that approach here, but sadly he didn't. I like the one that Surf took. And then he had only race that matters is the race out to the hospital. So while Surf's third isn't, crazy, I had Surf taking the third pretty clear. I just thought it was Core's worst round, which had me giving the battle to Sue Surf 2-1. First edge, Core won the second clear, and then I had Surf winning the third clear. And with all that being said, that's my coverage of the battle. There's been so much back and forth, like there is with every Surf battle, and especially with this one, I expected, there to be some controversy, people recapping and arguing over it at the end, no matter what. Even if everyone had a clear winner, someone would find a way to argue. I definitely had Surf really, really clear my first watch and when I just listened to the battle live. The first has definitely got closer for me. I've had Surf, obviously, all times, even now. But I just edge him the first now. I just think a lot of the shit Core Penn didn't get the love in the building. Some people aren't understanding, but I think a lot of other situations that's haymaker level material. I just think he was kind of in a hostile environment. But I'm also not about to just give Core the battle because I think the crowd was a little unfair. I still think that Sue Surf earned the win. His first was phenomenal. It was his best round. You can even see Core showing a lot of love for it. He just did some things, technically well, outside of just the writing, the performance, the delivery, the momentum building, even talking shit in between his rounds, kind of just bringing a whole feel to it, a whole thing of showmanship. And then the second, Sue Surf kind of had an abysmal round, and then that was Core's best round. The third is a little so overall it's a 4 or 5 out of 10 battle. It really isn't like a crazy battle. Both of them were able to give a great round, like I said. Surf's first, Core's second, but we'll have our little debates about it, and then it'll just be another one for the catalogs. And I'm excited to see who each of these guys battle next. But yeah, guys, it's been JSmo Reviews here. Like I said, we're back at it. Got some more content coming this week, so keep on the lookout. And I'll see y'all next time, man. I'm out of here. Peace.